In a previous video, I referenced this exact picture, video, whatever you want to call it, of this congressman. This congressman's name is Dan Crenshaw. Comes from Texas. And one of the things that I sit there and I think about is when people say, why is it black people in particular, but people in general aren't Republicans? I think about this video. I just want to have a quick little listen to this for a second. Let me turn it up a bit.
And with data and with access to your, app that you're addicted to, you can vastly manipulate an entire population, which the Chinese have done already.
Are you worried that our intelligence agencies are doing the same thing domestically?
Watch what he says here. This is the single greatest amount of lying I have ever seen in my entire life. Remember Edward Snowden? Remember the WikiLeaks debacle? Remember all the stuff? The fact that the CIA has access to every single phone in probably in much of the world that they can break into? All of the special connections that the CIA has to Google and Facebook? The fact that their company literally had investment from a CIA-backed hedge fund? Listen to what he says here.
Am I worried that, I know that they're not.
They're not manipulating Americans. They're not controlling the flow of information.
Yeah, did you have some evidence otherwise that you'd like to share?
I mean,
Okay.
before this went
Any serious questions?
crazy.
Oh my God! Amazing. Amazing. You know, George Santos, why is this guy in office? His voting record is worse than many of the people in the Republican Party. Now, I'm not a Republican. I don't particularly like the Republican Party. In fact, I hate it. And this is why. You can't see my fingers because I don't have a webcam, at least not yet. But you see why. This man is why. Okay, and now listen. You'd think that'd be the only thing, right? No. What else has he got?
I have come here.
Yeah, shut up.
33, my second channel, and I want to talk a little bit about this red flag gun legislation that just got through passing through the Congress, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But I also want to talk about the subject of this video being Dan Crenshaw. Okay, so apparently this red flag gun legislation is actually going to an attempt to try to restrict a veteran's right to own a gun. Dan Crenshaw is a veteran, he's a former Navy SEAL, and he basically just stabbed his brothers in the back. He's got to go. He's got to go. So if you live in his district in Texas, I don't care. You vote. You try to primary him out. If you cannot primary him out, take my advice. If you cannot primary him out, vote for every Republican candidate in 2022 except Dan Crenshaw. Do not vote for him. Withhold your vote for him. He's got to go. I mean, I'm serious. He's got to go. Get that communist pile of trash out, okay? He just stabbed his own brothers in the back. And it's not just the friggin' red flag laws here. It's also the fact that this actual particular law is actually under the UCMJ.
You think that'd be it? That should be enough to convince the white man, the conservative white man. I don't think that anybody reasonable has an issue with young men owning firearms, especially veterans who are sane individuals. You know, we have an issue with PTSD, but outside of that, should be perfectly fine. Why do you think they want to disarm veterans? But that's not all. No.
Dan, I'm with the one, the only. I run into the man.
This is Alex Stein.
One, the only, Dan Crenshaw, I Patch McCain. But Dan, why are you retweeting Dave Portnoy saying he wants me to fail? F me. Why'd you retweet all that? I'm going to put it in the video, but why'd you retweet all that?
What do you think, Alex?
I know, but why don't you like me? We're both from Texas. I can help you out. You're just not America first. You're a globalist. You're giving more money to Ukraine.
You assaulted a 65-year-old woman.
I didn't touch you. You're such a liar. We have it on tape. See, this guy's still lying.
White man, what are you doing? What's going on, white man? What's happening?
You're a rhino. You're a globalist. You're a globalist rhino. You're a globalist rhino. Kid, you're a globalist rhino.
You should have known. This guy is scum. He's so obviously scum.
After a lackluster 2022,
2023 was a hot year for stocks. The S&P 500 was up 24%. So how's your portfolio looking? Bet it's not looking as good as members of Congress, because politicians crushed the market last year. Their performance smoked, and I mean smoke market congressional expert and tracker Unusual.
Look at that. Now, Dan Crenshaw, he's not much higher. Of course, the usual suspects. Dan Goldman. Yeah, these two share a name. Not a last name. Goldman? Oh, yeah, he's definitely getting more. Blumenthal? Why is this guy still in office?
All right. So last week I made a joke about a picture of you, and I feel like it would only be fair if you got me back and made fun of a picture of me. Does that sound okay?
I don't really need to do that.
No, come on. I deserve it.
All right, I'll do it.
Please? All right.
Oh my God, corny, lame, boo, tomato, tomato, tomato. I'm throwing tomatoes.
Look at this guy. He's on SNL. Come on, white man, grow a spine. What are you doing? This guy's hanging out with, what's his face? Let me make sure I'm not posting anything, because, you know, I'm a little suspicious. I'm a little zesty. Look at this guy. Oh, he's just being nice. He's just being respectful. You know, he's being a normal human being, you know, not being a political psycho. No, this person, Chris Evans, is antithetical to every single thing that you believe in. Let's take a picture. But wait, there's more. Let's see how he treats his brothers in the military.
I've got something to say that I've been holding on to for about 4.5 years now. I've tried to me and my family, but I feel compelled to come out now and speak the truth about a certain individual. This is not about me, also, and most importantly to me, about my teammates in the SEAL teams. I feel like you guys should know the truth as well. So, back in 2019, I was charged with war crimes, premeditated murder, and I was facing life in prison without parole.
Wow. Spend your whole life fighting for the American government, and you get charged with war crimes. Go fight for Israel. Go ahead. Go fight for Israel, white man. Do it.
I sat in pretrial confinement for about 9 months before my actual trial. During that time, my wife, Andrea, and brother, Sean, along with a certain group of teammates that I had, were doing everything they could to garner support, to get the truth out about what was going on with me, to expose all the lies and corruption around the UCMJ and everything they were doing to put me away for life. During that time, one name kept popping up. That was Dan Crenshaw. My brother wanted to go speak to him to try and get his support, as well as my teammates who were doing everything they could. And this was for obvious reasons. Dan was a prior SEAL. They thought that this was a no-brainer and that he should get behind it, especially with all the information that was coming out. So, my brother, who lives near DC, was going to Congress almost on a daily basis, knocking on every congressman's door on both sides of the aisle, trying to get them to look at what was really going on and get their support. One of those individuals was Dan Crenshaw. So my brother ended up talking to his staff a couple times. They gave him the runaround, but that did not stop him. He kept going back day after day and finally got a hold of Dan. Dan told him he wanted to wait till the situation developed before he made a decision, which, got it, that makes sense. Along with that, some of my teammates who were on that deployment, who were on the ground the day of the incident, went to one of Crenshaw's fundraising parties, pulled him aside and spoke to him face to face, told him what was happening to me was complete BS, that it was chock full of lies, and that I was getting screwed over.
Now, what do you think is gonna happen? You think Dan Crenshaw is gonna stand behind his fellow Navy SEALs?
Dan replied to him and said that he would see what he could do. So, one congressman would not sign that petition. That was Dan Crenshaw. They basically were saying, give this man the constitutional rights he deserves before he goes to trial for his life. One congressman would not sign that petition. That was Dan Crenshaw. Instead, he decided to write his own petition and pretty much say to keep me in prison, but just to let me see my lawyers, which were rights I should have already had in the first place. At that point, we decided to scrap asking Dan for help and just move on.
That is the Republican Party in a nutshell. I mean, look at the Midwest. But wait, there's even more. There's even more.
A young woman attended the Montgomery County Tea Party meeting Monday evening where people could ask questions of Representative Dan Crenshaw, Republican from Texas, and it didn't go well for the congressman. Take a look.
To anyone who hasn't heard, Crenshaw said, quote, "The most important thing here is that we have important hero archetypes that we look up to. Jesus is a hero archetype, Superman is a hero archetype. Real characters too. I could name 1,000. Rosa Parks, Ronald Reagan," end quote. I can't wrap my head around this.
Well, I'll help you. Put a period after the word Jesus and don't question my faith.
Wow.
Okay, that's... There's...
You moron.
Look.
Yeah, you don't talk to a kid like that.
Don't question my faith.
Oh, okay.
You guys can ask questions about all of these things and I will answer them. But don't question my faith.
I can question your faith if this is what you said.
This is a young girl asking him to clarify his statements on his faith. And he is getting smart with her. These are Republican values. These are Republican values. All of the people in that room should have voted against him immediately. He should have never possibly went into government. He should have got recalled, should have been removed. His record is terrible. This is what happens when you have a bunch of geriatrics. This old white woman right here, sitting there looking down eating, not even paying attention. To top it all off, for all of you Republicans who sit there and say, oh, but we gotta have our people, he's still based enough, we still need him. Well, when the gay guy has the better record, you should probably be asking yourself a few questions.
This handful of members is very clearly looking for notoriety over principle. That's what it is. And anyone who suggests differently is in some kind of make-believe fantasy reality. It's not true. They lost those debates. That should have been the end of it, because that's how a team works, right? You hash this stuff out, you figure it out, and then you move on. But if you're a narcissist and you believe that your opinion is so much more important than everyone else's, then you'll...
By the way, this is for the Speaker of the House. This is how he acts. Anytime there's actual principle that has to be stood on. This nigga don't stand on business. He don't stand on business. He's the type of person who sells out the entire Midwest. This is that type of person. This is the type of person who Republicans vote for.
Keep going. And you'll threaten to tear down the team for the benefit of the Democrats, just because of your own sense of self-importance. That's exactly what's happening here. We will not vote for anyone else but the government. These people think they're stubborn, we're more stubborn. They think they're not going to get the communities there. Obviously they won't, but it's going to be so much worse than that. You know, they are enemies now. They have made it clear that they prefer a Democrat agenda than a Republican one.
No. What was preferred was people actually doing their job. That's what was preferred. People doing their job. Do you think that we would have a housing crisis if these people did their job? Do you think that we would have homeless veterans if the Republicans actually did their job? You know what it's really about? That's what it's always about. He won't go to the bat for you or for anyone else, but he will fight tooth and nail for a foreign country who, by the way, hates him if he is actually a Christian, and his constituents.
Conservative Christian leaders are calling on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to stop a bill proposed by members of his coalition to make it criminal to tell people about Jesus in Israel. Our Jerusalem correspondent Daniel Cohen is live near Tel Aviv with more. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, Allison. Good morning, everyone. A big story just before, days before Palm Sunday, Good Friday, and Easter. Sacred time for Christians. Two ultra-Orthodox members of Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition have introduced a bill that would punish believers for sharing the gospel of Jesus with prison time. United Torah Judaism Knesset members Moshe Gafni and Yaakov Asher introduced legislation last week making it illegal to share in conversation or produce content online, in print, or by mail. Their explanation of the bill emphasizes a warning to stop Christians in particular.